Well, I'm joined here by the CEO of FIDE, Emil Sutovsky. Hello, Emil. How has been the period after candidates? I'm sure it's very busy for you.
Hi, Sagar. Yeah, obviously it is very busy. It doesn't help that it was a long trip back and jet lag, but no time to rest and a lot of things to be tackled.
Yes, the main reason for our call today is the World Championship match, and also, FIDE released on its website an article talking about and inviting bids for the World Championship match, and I wanted to talk about it and go into it in more detail so that there is clarity about a few of the things and the points that were mentioned in the article.
Yeah, obviously we published it for entire world to know what does it take to hold World Championship match and what kind of budget should be secured. And I would say that these are minimal requirements. It's not that this is the amount and that's okay. So that these are starting amounts, let's put it this way. Obviously, I'd be happy to answer any questions, and you are also welcome to do it more, to insist on more answers where you feel that I do not share enough or being a bit vague. I'm here to share the info, whatever I can. Some of it is not clear and cannot be defined at the moment for various reasons, and I'll explain later why. However, it's indeed a busy time, and it's important that those who are planning to bid know what it takes, but also for general public, because I think for organizations, companies, governments, entrepreneurs who are willing to be engaged and lead the effort to state championship in their country, in their city. Many of them reach in person and supplied with information, but I am also open to discuss it in public to have a bit of a more information, more clarity. I also would add, and I think it's not insignificant, that FIDE is probably the only sportive organization which does it, because I cannot think of any other federation, association, let alone the big bodies like Olympic Committee or something, who would sit and explain in detail why the amount this or that, and or sharing the info or answering private messages and so on. I think that this is something that we can be proud about,
What
even
is
if
your
some.
motivation to do this? It is what you said, that you reply back to the comments on Twitter. You're doing this right now. So what is the motivation there?
There are two sides to it. I think that we should pave a way to actually let know the chess community how the things work, and by that engaging not only the spectators and fans, but also those who are proactively creating something, whether it's content creators or whether it's those who are creating opportunities for new tournaments, to understand how the chess works. We do not want to be this closed society like it used to be for many years, that FIDE sits somewhere and decides. FIDE decided, FIDE declared, FIDE instructed, whatever. We it's in everything. It's not only about match, obviously. If you paid attention from the very beginning, we always initiated the discussions about the time controls, title awards, rating adjustments, and so many other points, because we think that chess world is very sensitive to this sort of thing. And I have to say that for many years, in particular, let's say, years prior to the administration, to the rating administration, there have been a bit of disconnect between FIDE and chess community. And I think it's good that by sharing a lot of information, we can build this I mean, how it would put trust in a way. Trust with players, it's obviously more of a trust. With general public, it's more difficult because many people do not have enough knowledge, but just getting some idea from some tweet here and there makes their conclusions. But anyways, I think the way that we communicate would allow more people to understand how the whole process work and why FIDE takes this or that decision. In a nutshell, although FIDE is not a players association or players organization, it's organization which unites national chess federations. But in a nutshell, it works and operates for everyone for every chess player, chess organizer, chess spectator, and it's important that this work which we do is at least understood and not, let's say, somehow derived from some comments or something. So that's why I'm also always open to answer all the questions, and I welcome any questions which are related to our work. I do not like when the people who are simply say go with their way to trash feed whatever decision we would do, or going to object or to oppose or to find irregularities in the work, but to all those who are looking to reach some sort of objective judgment of our work or to ask relevant questions, obviously I'm open to share. I cannot be answering on Twitter every single question because then I wouldn't do my work as CEO properly. But with the leading media as yourself, it's obviously important that our work is showcased and the answers are there.
Right. This conversation about the World Championship match and its funding is very, very important because there are many questions in the minds of a lot of people. And one of the things that I noticed while I was preparing for this call was that the last year, when FIDE put out an article that was in 2023, it was only this much. It had few points. It had mentioned that the recommended prize fund and the bid to be made with 3,000 euros and so on. But this year, the article is much bigger with more points mentioned. So would you like to sort of speak about that why has been more information added, and this time the entire amount which is there, that is 8.5 million dollars, and all of that has also been mentioned? The last time it wasn't mentioned.
Definitely, we are trying to, let's say, to improve in every regards, and also in terms of what organizers shall expect from us. Because previously, when we were, let's say, indicating only the prize fund and minor details, it would not give a sufficient picture to those who would want to organize. Now we are obviously moving from World Chess Championship match being organized in, let's say, in a manner which it was done in some cases before, let's say, as not something really major to something that should be reflecting the importance of the event. And that's why it was important to stress that the budget is as high, because it would require the venue, it would require the team, it would require professional broadcasting, it would require a lot of stuff, it would require a lot of trips, accommodations, and so on. And based on that and based on the figures we've got, we reached this amount. So once again, I want to stress that the amount can be actually bigger because it depends very much on where you're going to stage it. If you're going to stage it in New York, is one amount. If you're going to stage it in Singapore, is a different amount. If you're going to stage it in Chennai, is a third amount. And the main difference would make the venue and the hotel, because these are two massive expenses. And venue, we will insist this time that the venue would be not only a top notch in terms of being, let's say, high level, but it also should allow for many spectators to be part of it. Let's say last time we organized in Astana, and the organization was, I think, was very smooth. But even though we organized it at the best hotel of the entire country in St. Regis, the famous chain, really top hotel and so on, the area for spectators was not as spacious, not nearly as spacious as we wanted to do. And we see that there is a lot of interest for the match, not only this one, but in general, even the previous one. So we need to adjust and to do it better, and not just to say, okay, we need to improve. So here comes an improvement. Now, if we talk about the budget, let's put things in the proportion. I mean, some say that why would that be such a high budget? It's not a high budget. No, 8 and even not $10 million would be a high budget. I can tell you.
Yes, this is interesting. I actually broke down each of the points of the budget that was given, and I think the first point was this one, the prize
Yeah,
money.
okay. We can go one by one. I just
Yeah.
want to illustrate the let's say the comparison, because
Mm.
when we talk about the budget, you need to compare both with other sports and maybe with other chess events.
Okay.
So if you compare with other sports, I'm not talking about Olympiad, I'm not talking about FIFA World Cup, I'm not talking about Grand Slam tennis, I'm not talking about Formula One leg. But even, I mean, the Formula One is funny because we have been checking it before coming up with the entire strategy and cost and so on. What would be your guess? Let me interview you for a moment. What would be your guess for a hosting fee for the Grand Prix leg of Formula One?
Ooh. I don't know. It must be way higher than what this 10
Yeah,
million
but just
or
approximate number. Is it 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, 50 million? I mean,
maybe it's 50 million, yes, per leg.
Let's say Grand Prix leg, of course, once again, different sports, and do not misunderstand me wrong. I mean, we can actually argue what is more popular, chess or Formula One, because Formula One is clearly much more on TV, but chess is much more on online and broadcasted on all platforms. But just one leg, I'm not talking about the World Championship match, right? One leg. You have all series of Grand. So the hosting fee only, the hosting fee, not the budget.
Mhm.
Depending on where it is, but the hosting fee for the most expensive leg is 57 million euro. Just a hosting fee. But this is one example of outrageous difference. But even the sports which are not very much on TV, let's say World Judo Championship. I like judo very much, but you don't see World Judo Championship on TV. The only time when judo is really on TV, it's only during Olympics. Otherwise, they don't get any screen time on major channels ever. And for example, World Judo Championship has a budget of over 10 million euro.
Mhm.
Now you cannot even compare, I think, the number of spectators of chess events to this event. Apart of that, when we will come now to the breakdown of budget and why it's so expensive and why will it be or could it be more expensive than the 8 million? It's important not to neglect the fact that there is income also from the hosting championship. It's would be entirely wrong to count as something like it's just an investment.
Sure.
I'm not talking about indirect income. I'm talking only about direct income, as selling tickets and selling certain broadcasting rights, because these are coming as a package. And let's say organizers gets to sell tickets, and actually, depending on where and how it's staged, this is quite a significant amount. I can tell that even for Toronto candidates, event which is of course of a lower caliber compared to the World Championship match, where we did not have a big hall for spectators. We had reasonable. We thought it would be nice for Toronto because the chess life there is not exactly booming. Nevertheless, and we set prices at very modest level. to allow those who would be coming not to rip them off prices. But still, it brought over $170,000 or so.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, for the World Championship match is something that of a different caliber, and mainly the hosting venue should be much bigger.
Mm.
Here we would host 300, 400 people every day. There I'm talking about thousands, and that's a big difference.
This has not
But
happened, by the way, until now. Yes, thousands of people attending a world championship match. I think it might be the first time ever that this would happen.
I think it's very likely to happen. We shall not forget what has been happening when Kasparov played Karpov in Moscow. They did have quite a lot of attendance there.
Mm.
But indeed, that is we believe that physically to attend the event, you have to also to build it properly, because it's not just to see this game. It should be everything, the entourage around it, and obviously that also impacts how the event is staged. One point is ticket sales, another point is sales of all sorts of merchandise, which is related to the championship, which also will be obviously a revenue stream. And the third one is the broadcasting rights. It's a bit tricky between FIDE and the organizer. At this point, I will not enter it, because this is always a kind of a, let's say, there are some local rights within a country, there are some global rights, then there are rights for linear and non-linear, so it's a bit complex, and probably not exactly a matter of our discussion today. But just to outline, there is at least three direct revenue streams, which are tickets, broadcasting rights, and merchandise. And obviously, the cost of the event depend heavily where it is staged, but the income is also depends on where it is staged,
Yeah.
and how it is staged.
Sure.
When we speak about the overall cost of the event, there are things which cannot be exactly, let's say, broke down, but let's go one by one as
Yeah.
you prepared, and I'll
Sure.
answer your questions. And please do not hesitate to interrupt me to ask a question which you think I haven't covered, because for me it's important that the way we, let's say, approach it is at least understood. It can be not shared. I mean, people are welcome to disagree, and that's fine. But it was not taken lightly on the spur of a moment.
Yeah.
And one important thing I want to stress here, it's very important, and I heard some comments saying that okay, they had Indian guys, now they thought they can rip off Indian government or Tamil Nadu government of some heavy amount. The letter at the beginning of at the middle of March, so prior to start of the candidate, went to a person who has been in charge of one of the bids last time for 2023 championship. And it indicated 8 million amount there, just for you to understand. So it was not something that it was signed by Arkady, it's official letter, it's not some sort of an email. So it's not that we are just jumping on some opportunity, which actually would be also fair. The match costs as much as they are ready to pay for it. That's it. There is a market cost of the match. So for the match, let's say Carlson against Nepe was one cost. For Nepe against Ding is another cost. That's normal, but there should be a minimal cost, and that's we have to outline very clearly what should it include, because you cannot host an event in a modest surroundings. Let's say something that clearly matches the importance of the match. Let's respect also our game. I mean, I heard from many people on Twitter like, "What do you need?" And sometimes I was surprised even to hear it from somebody like Levy. But okay, maybe it was half jokingly, maybe he actually wanted to initiate some discussion. But it's not like streaming from your home, sitting looking at your computer screen. It's a world championship match. It's the oldest world championship title in any sport. It has 136 years of history. And obviously, shall strive, especially in a moment where chess is on the rise, that the conditions for staging it are also matching the importance of it. So prize money, as you saw, we put it at minimum of 2.5.
Yes, this was increased this year
Yes.
from 2 million.
Yes, it is increased, but not from last time it was 2 million euro.
Uh-huh.
No, you here have 2 million. So 2 million euro is roughly what is like 2.1. So it's from 2.1 gets to 2.5. Once again, it's a minimal price point. We expect that there will be more than one bid, and it can be that the higher amount is on the table. But it's a minimum. We think it's important to increase the prize funds in top events. We have been doing it not only for the match. We did it in what was the last World Cup. Now we're raising prize money for World Cup 2025. We did it in Grand Swiss. We did it in all women's competition, in women's Grand Prix, in women's candidates, in women's World Cup as well. The only one which didn't change since the last time was men's candidates. We also will be looking to raise it towards the next time, but in January 23, when we announced it, we decided that it was important to raise women's prizes to narrow the gap between the two. Still, I think it would be correct decision, and we are looking to increase for the next women's candidates, open candidates as well.
Right.
So the prize money will be increased for the match 2024. And once again, it's important. It's not because to show, I don't know, to Magnus, look, you left and we still increase the prizes. We would love to have Magnus in the cycle. We would love him play, and we believe that with his participation, there will be even more money for players. It's not because of that, but because of the status of the World Championship match. Do you want to know what was the biggest gap between two matches in prize money? Give me your guess.
Well, I knew that when Fischer was sort of ready to play the match after 72, the amount of money that people were ready to put up was insane. Like it may be even higher than what is being offered right now, right? Like
It's much bigger amount by that time. So the funny thing is that when Fischer played Spassky, they played for $250,000 only, and by that time it looked like a huge amount. 250,000 looked like, wow, it has never happened before. Then Fischer declined to defend his title. And then there were a lot of negotiations and so on, but he didn't play. So we don't know what exactly
I
was the
think there was
money.
some person who was ready to give 5 million as well at that point.
This is something that has been spelled out, but never was confirmed. So we don't know. The fact is that he did play for 5 million, but in 1992 only, when he was already 20 years his prime. But the funny thing, which I wanted to indicate, is that Fischer went out in 72. He didn't play 75. What was the next match in 78? Tell me.
It must be lower than that, I guess.
No, it was
No?
5 times higher.
Really? Okay.
Yes. Because chess was on the rise, there was a boom, there was an interest generated, but mostly by Fischer. But now the chess has evolved already independently. So in 72 it was, but then was a rise. And then, of course, they were lucky to have Kochnoy against Karpov, because Kochnoy was, controversial figure, and he just left the USSR and so on. But anyway, the prize money in chess has risen, and that's in spite of participation of Fischer. And that only speaks of the status of the World Championship match, because it's very important that, of course, there are better times and worse times. Of course, there's sometimes chess players or FIDE are lucky with some sort of sponsorship or partnerships they're getting. Let's say of the biggest budgets, not necessarily prize funds, but budgets, it was two expos. The expo which hosted the match between Carlsen and Nepomniachtchi, Dubai Expo, where the total budget was very high, like in a range of $7 million, which was in 21. and the Expo in Sevilla in 1987 between Kasparov and Karpov, also was a very high budget. I think it was around the same amount in Swiss francs. Yeah. So it can be different, but our strategy has been and is to keep increasing, because I honestly believe that World Championship match is the best investment for any government, company, city, whatever, because you invest 8, 9, 10 million and you get huge exposure for so many chess fans that knows that your city or your company. This package also includes the possibility of title sponsorship. Imagine you're a company, you want to be a title sponsor of some event, so you get World Championship matchup with your name branding, and the match which lasts for nearly a month, the match which inevitably gets to so many media outlets, to sometimes to the front pages of the leading media outlets, as you know. With social media, it became absolutely insane amount of eyeballs on that. I honestly believe that I mean, if I had a spare 10 million, I would put it and organize it myself, because I mean it's just a great investment for everyone, for be it once again institution, government, or a company. So now, why and where from this money actually, let's say, come and unite into the amount of 8 million or 9 million or 10 million?
I mean, this
We,
is
we can,
one big amount that is mentioned, which is the FIDE fee of
yes, PDP
1.1 crore,
now.
which
Yeah,
is something which is a bit confusing as to why is there a fee, because you spoke about also this part of income, and I think I wanted to delve into it little later after we discuss all the expenses, because the income also is something that will be shared by the organizer and FIDE. So this FIDE
right.
fee is something in addition to that income which will be generated.
Definitely. Now, it is important to understand that the hosting fee, these amounts, for every major sport exists and often is much, much higher. Now, why FIDE asks for this sort of money? There are two answers to that. FIDE as an organization, we are non-for-profit. We are not a private company. We are not money generating. So when we generate some income, we reinvest it into our projects, and that's how it works. It's not like we are going to shareholders and to split with them or something. So FIDE year into year increases our investments in all the spheres, be it social, be it educational, be it in promotional for the game, be it in hiring more people and more stuff to organize these championships that would be generating income for FIDE. And there are basically only two streams how FIDE can bring the revenue. One related to the events, which would include the hosting fee and the broadcasting rights. And another is, let's call it, taxing players and federation. Now you would be surprised, we are the federation, the international federation, which taxes its players or its members the least. The money which we get from players and for we do not. Every national chess federation has their own rules. Some of them would charge $100 or $120 a year just for a player just to be a member of federation. Some of them would charge depending on the number of rated games. Some of them would be not charging at all if they're very small, and so on. But in general, the amount FIDE charges from players and federation is constantly reducing. If prior to 2018, these funds constituted more than this income constituted more than half of the income of FIDE by charging the federations, the players, and so on. Nowadays, it stands. I don't want to err, but it is between 5 to 10% of FIDE income. So technically, with our budget, which is roughly sits on 16, 17 million euro a year, we have to generate enough money from either events, sponsorship, broadcasts, or by asking people to pay for their ratings or to pay more for their titles and so on. We are obviously reluctant to charge people because we think it could be detrimental to their wish to play. If they have to pay additional fees for that or this, they are paying. Some of them are not paying at all.
I know
Let's say.
that when I have to go to play a tournament which is FIDE rated, I have to
Mhm.
pay a fee to my national federation, and I suppose the national federation pays a sum to FIDE from that. I
That's
guess.
tricky. Your national federation pays very little for yourself because for the national federations there is a cap. I think it's 32,000 per year, which includes all players in the country playing all rated games. So in a nutshell, if you now calculate number of rated Indian players, multiply it by the number of games they played, and now then divide by the amount they by 32,000, you will find that your contribution to FIDE would be somewhere between €1 and zero. It's really very, very tiny amount. So most of it actually remains with federations.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it. So we are, of course, we are trying to maximize our top events to generate the income. We set two most important events at the highest hosting fee. This is an Olympiad and World Championship match. Both are at €1 million fee. 1,100,000 is basically 1 million derived from €1 million fee. So that is reasonable, and that is not different from any major sport is doing. It is just smaller, and I believe this amount, which is 12 or 10% from the overall budget of the match, is justified. Once again, how you want FIDE to operate and to work and to create all this.
So,
I mean, we have dozens of events throughout the year. Let's say like World Championship matches down to Cadet, Rapid, and Blitz championships. So all that requires a lot of work. Of course, we do not have this hosting fee for our events which are not top tier, but for top tier events which are selling well, and let's say Olympiad also being most expensive event in chess with a budget of 15-16 million euro, it's sold like five years in advance because there is an interest for that. And of course, as FIDE, we have to generate income in order to work. The number of our staff has increased almost twofold compared to what it was in 2018, just for your understanding. And it's not because we want just to throw some money. We just do so much more work, and it is simply required. But you need to pay for that. You need to pay for the programs we have. Let's say when FIDE goes year after year, we support the Open Tournaments initiative. So we put €250,000 a year. Where from you take it? You take it from the budget. Where is the budget actually income comes from? Once again, events and let's say income from federations and players, where events contribute together with sponsorship contribute around 90%, maybe more. So that explains it.
So
If
you
some
would
people
say,
think that we are too greedy to ask for 1 million, they are more than welcome to continue thinking so. I think that the amount is not too high. And when we compare it with other sports, it's definitely not too high. And when we compare it with interest, once again, which such a match generates, is also fair in proportion to entire budget.
you did mention in this when you were saying that the entire outflow or the budget of FIDE for the year is 16 to 17 million euros or dollars. per year.
Mhm.
And so this match and the Olympiad, and these are the major inflows that FIDE has in order to
Um,
innovate.
okay, it's a bit complex because the budget is something that passes through FIDE. Let's say in Olympiad alone costs 16 or 17 million, but it's not within the budget of FIDE because only the money which physically are transferred from to FIDE
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then
No, I understand.
distributed out, they're considered.
Sure.
But again, for this match, if we talk that 8 million or 9 million would be needed for the match, it doesn't mean that FIDE gets this money and distributes it. Don't
No,
misunderstand
I'm
it, and make
saying 16 to
people mis.
17 is your outflow through the year of, or maybe the social programs you do, the salaries of FIDE employees, and so on.
That's the money that we
Yes,
get and we distribute
right.
one way or another. Yeah.
Okay, okay. And so this was the FIDE fee. We spoke about it, and then we go to the next point, which is mentioned in the article, which says payment for commercial sponsorship broadcasting rights will be specified according to bidder's proposal. And this is a little bit confusing for me as to what it means. If you could sort of clarify what this
Yes,
statement.
that is a difficult part because there is no, let's say, it cannot be set in stone for a number of reasons. Because if we talk about sponsorships, there are sponsors which have lasting relationship with FIDE, and there are sponsors which are for a particular event. Now, sponsorship rights for the event also can be different because when somebody like a company comes and say, "I want to be a title sponsor of the event," that's one thing. When they just want to be a general partner of the event, that's the second thing. When they want to be one of the sponsors is another thing. Now, when it is a government, let's say Tamil Nadu, it's the third thing. When it is some sort of a foundation, that's another thing. When it is a family, let's say Scheinberg family, that's completely different thing. That's why we cannot define it very clearly, and it's a matter of organizer or potential organizer bidder to explain who and which body stands behind and what kind of rights they are willing to, let's say, to pursue in relation to the championship, and then we try to find the mutually acceptable solution because we also need to retain certain sponsorship rights which are belonging to FIDE lasting partners, and also to provide us with the opportunity either to monetize on the proposed solution or to leave us a window for other sponsors we may subscribe ourselves towards this event. That's why it's a bit of a let's say negotiable part of any bid. Once again, if some party comes and says, "Okay, I put this amount, but I want all this included, but the amount is, I don't know, 12 million," is a different story. Or you say, "I have a minimal amount I'm ready to pay, but you as FIDE will retain all the sponsorships which you can sell yourselves." That's a different story. So that's why you cannot exactly define it, and we are pretty flexible for both approaches. For us, it's important that it's understood that this kind of thing need to be reviewed as a package, of course, depending on what exactly the organizer wants to get, what kind of and what they put up as their proposal. Because again, we will be now passing to the next point. Why the overall budget is so important, because it's important to understand what organizer actually brings to the table. Does he bring Trump Tower building for the World Championship match? Or they bring Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium to have the match and to organize it there? Or they bring Singapore Marina? Or they bring the Colón Theater in Buenos Aires? It's all, it's all has to come as a package, and there is no very clear way to describe it, like it will be like that, it will be like that. That's why we gave the minimal, let's say, basic level, but that should clearly convey the scale of event we are counting.
So when this match is being bid by someone, do you see it as something of a potential for the bidder to also make revenue? Like, they can also sort of break even. For example, let's say an Indian company decides to sponsor this and puts up the money and so on. At the end of it, their idea is that they should get, apart from, let's say, the eyeballs, also some return monetarily. And I think
Yes.
in that regard, does FIDE help that organizer, or is it just that the organizer has to figure out, let's say, for example, if it is happening in India, to make the tie-ups with the let's say the national television or so on, and the television rights, and how does that work?
Basically, for the local broadcast, obviously, we expect that the national, be it India or any other country, they would be better positioned to negotiate and to know what's the best people to contact and to work with. If we talk about international, obviously we share our contacts and our practices and as a way we work. Because if you remember the match in 2021, it was broadcast on NBC Sports. And we are in talks with Sony Sports, and we obviously can and shall work together with local organizer, because for us it's important to create the environment which will be a win-win, and not that just FIDE will sell this event, and then in 2026 there will be less organizers because the organizer which put a lot of money is unhappy and made us bad reputation for basically ripping him off and not providing him enough opportunities to make money. No, we want it to be a win-win. It's also not only about the company, actually, because there are many people who are initiating this sort of agreements by bringing people they know into to the table, because sometimes it's more than two parties. Sometimes it's a joint, let's say, bid or joint organizing effort of governmental or city structure and the commercial structure. That's also can be, and there's nothing bad about it. So we would be only happy. Once again, it's everything starting from ticket prices to type of sponsorships.
And then we come to this main gap, which is there from 8.5 million dollars, which is the total budget, and until now we've accounted for 3.6 million dollars. So there is a difference of 4.9 million, and this is how is this amount utilized?
Well, people really, I was reading some comments and I was sort of sometimes even shocked by how people do not see this picture. Probably when I was not in my position, I wouldn't see it entirely as well, but not as distant as some people do it now. Because you have an event of a caliber of a, I don't know, international world championship lasting for a month. 1 month. Compared with any other sport, it's typically 1 week or 2 weeks, or sometimes it's just one day.
Yeah.
Now, just for your understanding, any simple, I'm not telling about some sophisticated, huge conference or something, any simple conference, economic conference, which I've been quite a few sportive conferences and so on, the typical cost for weekend conference would be from 500,000 to $1 million. That's a cost for 2 days event. Here you have a match. Now, what are main expenses for the matches which should be, let's say, organized on a high level? Venue. The venue for a month, the top venue is very expensive, unless you organize it in a inside some of the hotel rooms, which I already told you that it would not be acceptable. Because
So this match has to be done in kind of a keeping in mind that huge number of audience has to be accommodated. It cannot be done inside, let's say, a top tier, like it was done in St. Regis. It's a top hotel.
Yeah, it cannot be a small room in a hotel. Okay, it can be huge conference building. Yes, it can. It can be something of a unique and high status quarters. It can. It can be a part of, as I told you, a stadium. It can, but we obviously wanted to take to a new height, both in terms of how many people would see it, but also how the entourage would look,
Mm-hmm.
because the whole thing would require the top-notch branding and top-notch build-up. These things are very costly. People would be surprised to know, but let's say both in Dubai and in St. Regis, we built up this sort of special glass cube. In
Yes.
Dubai, it was on stage, if you remember.
Yeah.
Maybe you will be broadcasting it, you could show the pictures from Dubai with how
Yeah, I remember. I was there, and it had all the
Magnus and Nepo
glass.
played. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is costly. It cost around $500,000 only to erect it. It's costly. It's a lot of technology, because it's not only soundproof and vision proof that players cannot see and cannot hear, but it also should allow to all the system work, like from air condition
Yes.
to signals from the game and so on and so forth. It's a complex one. In Astana, it was a bit different. They played like without cube, but all the spectators were inside the cube. So it was a technically different solution, but it still was costly and quite complex. Because one of the things which will lack during chess competitions is an ability of people to socialize, to express their emotions, to express themselves. And for the World Championship match, we obviously want it to be possible.
Mm-hmm.
So such a construction should be done. It also, I have to stress it, it also impacts the fair play,
Yes.
because this is probably the only way we can have a lot of public nearby,
Sure.
because otherwise visual or audio contact can be, even if not like any player is cheating, even if there's some spectator who is very passionate about some of the players and so on.
I
So
think
that's
this glass pane is the only solution. Yeah, like for example, if you want like what you did in Dubai, where people would come in with those headphones, listen, tune into the commentary, and listen to it, and sit there and watch. There's no other way you can do it if they want to see the players. Uh,
yeah.
I
The-
guess that's the only way.
or it should be very small room, which once again we don't want to do, and with slots or something like that. But we don't want to do it. We want to do it big. We want it to do also in a way that it will look nice on the screen. One of the important investments here, which we would require from organizer, is a top-notch quality broadcast, TV quality broadcast. I have to say once again, I would be hating myself if I would just say we have to improve, but not improving. I, at present, I'm not very happy with the way of broadcast we have. We have a very seriously improved broadcast of 2011 standard. I remember the candidates in 2011 was the first time it was this organized. And by that time, it was great. By now, I think we have been improving a lot of little things, a lot of nice cameras, it's not a TV standard yet. I spoke with TV people. In general, they like, and they, contrary to many, believe that classical chess can be shown.
Mhm.
It cannot be shown for 6 hours to many channels. Maybe in if you are very skillfully preparing it like an arcade doing, it's possible, but in general, let's say ESPN would not broadcast 6 or 4 hours game. But what is possible is also to make every 15 minutes at the end of the hour, you have the picture from the playing hall and what's going on, what are updates, and so this way it is possible. But for that you need also TV quality, you need different cameras, more better graphics and so on, better studio. It is all very costly. You can also ask the team which did Mahindra Global League. They invested very much into it, and it is costly. It is costly already now. I don't know if you noticed in Toronto we had now 12 or 13 people engaging with broadcast altogether. Two different crews, one filming all what's happening on the board, the commentaries, studios, and so on, and one what is happening around the event, all the interviews, all the fan zone, and so on and so forth. And even that is not enough. We need to improve on that in order to deliver a product which can get on TV. And if we are not successful to get to a very big network, I think we can do. But even if not, it would open up the opportunity even for online broadcast to make it on a different level, to show more and to show better. Talking of in generally of investment, we've befriended with Jan Bittner, and we talk with him rather regularly. And also he shared his experience. He made a week-long event in Waisenhaus. The prize fund was, I think, 300,000, and total budget was 2 million, which shows you the ratio more or less. And we discuss with him what kind of improvements can be made, and he also believes that there is a lot of potential into that. And we also discussed how it is possible to, let's say, to merge things which he did with what we are doing. So it has been fruitful discussion. But again, I want to underline. The thing about broadcast is one of the most critical, essential, and costly to organize properly. Now, let's talk about, we spoke about venue, top notch, we spoke about broadcast. Build up, which is often neglected by people who never did events. They think two people came and sat and played. That doesn't work like that. That is a very complex event, not only because it is lengthy, it requires a lot of various rooms for various zones. From playing zone to fair play zone, from VIP zone to spectator zone, from the zone for side events, and so on and so forth. Each of them require a lot of preparation, starting from branding. Branding is an expensive thing, unless you and I sit down and do something in Photoshop at home. But if you do World Championship match, you order it with the agency, and that's what we did for. I remember in Dubai we had a big project with Morilias, this Spanish-based agency, who are well known into world of sports, and this is again costly product. We are talking about hundreds of thousands. It's not something that goes overnight. There's a team which is working on the concept, which is working on how it will look on all sorts of surfaces. There are flat surfaces, there are round surfaces, there are digital surfaces. How it would look on the screen? How would it look? So it is rather complex, and if you take into account number of say zones which would be engaged, because we are not only planning to have table, and on table should be there are banners which would be, let's say, throughout the city. There are banners or some sort of logos which should be located in online, and all these are as a part of a brand book, and this brand book is a costly thing. Now the team, which also has to do with the build-up. People keep forgetting, maybe not knowing, how big the event of the kind and how significant should be the stuff. Let's say you saw even in Toronto yourself. I mean, for the World Championship match, it's bigger, because no matter that there's only 2 participants at not 16, but the number of zones will be bigger, the number of spectators will be bigger, the number of VIPs will be bigger, the number of all sort of activities will be bigger. So I would evaluate that the staff would be over 50, which would be requiring it. It's not only FIDE team, but also the LOC, local organizing team, also security and volunteers. Of course, it's a different category. The volunteers will be even more in addition to that. But you need all this team, because for any, as I told you, I think when we sat down in Toronto, for any department, we would have allocated people who would be in charge. So because the event is big and guests are numerous, so we would have people who are in charge for I don't know, catering, accommodation, transportation, entrance to the playing hall, communication with players, communication with authorities, VIP zone, and so on and so forth. A lot of people have to come not only at the stage of the championship, but much earlier. You do not say, okay, guys, so please prepare. The event starts November 20. We will arrive November 17 and we'll go off. Typically, you would have several inspections before that. You sit down with the organizing team. Also, let's not forget, organizing team, also the people, they are not there just to help you, and that's it. You need a team, dedicated team, the director of a local organizing committee who would actually secure all which is needed locally, and that's a lot. Once again, starting from the venue, but also equipment. You need all the mics, you need all the lights. Lights is also a problem almost at every big event, because you need very good lighting in the playing venue. You need lights in the areas where there will be side events, and so on and so forth. You need all sort of scanners, talking about fair play, but not necessarily the fair play, also just for spectators who are coming over. You need a lot of security stuff. I know an amount which we pay now for security stuff in Toronto. We had 7 security guards, and each of them was there for entire round for 7-8 hours, and you pay $50 an hour. That's a normal rate, $50-$60 an hour. And that's long event once again. Now, flights is very expensive part of it. Maybe not the most, but very expensive, because not only we fly 2 participants, not only we fly the entire team, and according to regulation, each player can fly in 5 additional members of his team. And some of them are business class, and some of them are free. Not only we fly all our, as I said, staff, which are like, let's say 50 people. But think about it, both in Dubai, and it's important, and I want people to actually grasp it, and also in Astana, we had several side events, because World Championship match, in a nutshell, is not only the event, the sportive event, but it's much more its significance. Both in Dubai and in Astana, we brought a lot of young players to the event, to feel the atmosphere, to study and to compete. There is a nice picture. It would be nice if you could find it and post along this video, with Gukesh and Prague at Dubai 2021.
Yeah,
They were part.
their school took part.
Yeah, because that was a part of a larger program of the championship. So you fly in kids. You typically, it's not 1, 2, or 10. There are dozens of kids. You accommodate them. Accommodation is another big thing. Obviously, I'm passing from transportation and hotels. This is also a very expensive part, because all in all, including the players and their team, staff, officials, VIP guests, kids for all the events, broadcasting team, and so on and so forth, you are aiming at something around 2,000 nights. Around, right? I mean, here you can play a bit with kids competition or any other side activity, but we're talking about 2,000 nights, because the event is long. It's not 2,000 people, right? But even if you count 50 people of the team, and 10 people of 2 teams members, it's 60 people multiplied by 30 or so. It's already 1,800. So we are talking 2,000 now. Multiply 2,000 nights. Once again, depending on the country, right? Somewhere it would be, you can get excellent 5-star hotel with $200 full board, and somewhere it would be $500 full board. And I'm not talking off the top of my head. I know concrete examples, and we're talking about it. It's but more or less you add to that almost $1 million only on accommodation. Then you have transportation. You have to supply cars, not only to 2 players, because obviously each of the player, let's say in Dubai, we had a player's car and a player's team car for both teams. Then we had cars for officials because they have to go. Then some people would hate me, but yes, I'm in charge for the event. I need to have a car attached to myself to go and to meet people. Yes, I'm sorry. And so more. And you need for the events, you need a transportation. For kids, if they arrive together, you need buses. You need people who would be attached, typically, on many cases, that would be attached drivers who would be working throughout. Once again, the cost of labor is different. In US, you would pay probably more than in India if you do it, right? Or in Argentina, you would pay different amount. In Saudi Arabia, another amount. But
Yeah.
this is all quite expensive. Now, to break down all that is a bit difficult because, first of all, the most expensive part may come or may not come depending on the venue. I just give you an example. If you make anything in United States, all the relationship would be purely commercial, like we had now in Toronto. You do not get anything for free from city or from the government, right? If you do it in Tamil Nadu, in Chennai, of course, it is realistic to expect that some of these costs would be, I don't know, for the venue or for the security or for the transportation would be as a part of a contribution which the hosting city provides you. But if you count it, let's say, in a raw budget, that's more or less an expectation that these amounts are delivered. I have it also in written, so I just can quote you. So out of this remaining, so the build up, branding, and all related security, transportation, all that can be from 800,000 to a million, according to our experience, what it was. The important part which I didn't indicate, okay, the broadcast part we spoke already. It's inexpensive together with the costs of work, the cost of being there, flying there, and living for 12, 15 people who would be the part. And I haven't started mentioning yet the commentators, because commentators, you need not only two top-notch commentators in English, but typically we would also engage more in national languages. Once again, you fly them in, once again you accommodate them, and so on and so forth. Important part which I don't think I've mentioned yet, and this is important, is a promotional campaign. Because once again, it's not like you post on social media that we start a World Championship match, hooray. You need to film a video, and you need to film it properly, right?
That's the
You
part of the build-up, yes, which you were talking
Yes.
about.
Okay, you can call not here I have it as a part of a promotional campaign, which includes ceremonies. Let's say Singapore hosts the World Championship match ceremony to that effect, which should attract the media, which should make the news and so on. You should actually have and stage ceremonies during the tournament. Opening ceremony typically is huge. Wherever you stage it, I mean, in 2018, if you remember, in London, it was staged in Victoria and Albert Museum. A huge and very costly event. But even if you stage it on a smaller scale, like Opera House opening, which was in Dubai, and also Opera and Ballet in Astana, you still end up spending around 200,000 on that, because you need to host it, you need to invite a performance, you need all the audio and visual effects, you need catering, you need build up there as well with all these events. People simply do not understand the complexity of all that, taking into account that the event lasts for a month. Once again, it lasts for an entire month. That's why all this is costly. I'll give you one example. You remember last year, Magnus and Hikaru were supposed to play a match, and they didn't play a match. And the reason was simple, because it was too costly and there was no money to pay for it. Very simple. The match they were supposed to play for a purse of 1 million, and the additional organizing costs stood on 1.5 million or something like that. And that was because I mean, we can argue what kind of effects they had and what kind of arenas they had, whether it was the best possible. Maybe it was super luxury and super great and so super cool, and it was a bit too costly and they didn't manage. That's not the point. The point is that you have to spend on that, and unfortunately, not always you find money for that. For the World Championship, because of its status, you have. I know that we will have bidders for that, and I expect it will be more than one bidder. But said that, this is a costly event. VIPs. Imagine the event takes place in any country. Once again,
Sure.
In particular, if it is a country, let's say India or China, you need a sort of VIP zone which would be reflecting the status of the event. You cannot have Modi or M. Stalin coming just to some small room to raise a plastic cup of water. You need to prepare it properly. It should be in line with the status of the event, and it will be. But again, this is all costly. VIP catering, I know the figures. VIP catering costs you from few thousands to few dozens of thousands per day on such an event. And these zones are actually what secures the fact that when the people are there, it's not necessarily the leaders of the country. It could be, let's talk, we do it in New York. You have CEO, CFO of a major company, so they would come, they would be impressed, they would enjoy themselves. So next time they would stage an event. It also works this way, and that's important. Let's say I'll give you a small example. We are staging World Corporate Championship in New York between June 14, June 17. 4 days, no prize fund. Okay, there are some nice watches and so on, but no monetary prize funds. And the budget for the event for 4 days stands on $1 million. Because you have to fly in people, you have to accommodate people, you have a very expensive rent. We have opening ceremony at NASDAQ, and we have a gala dinner with teams and players and invited VIPs at NASDAQ. So it's sort of an event where you're the way of, let's say, every department which is engaged, be it VIP, transportation, and so on, venue, should be adequate to the level of the event. It's a world championship, like it or not. So that's why we believe that these amounts not only justified, once again, they could be even higher.
Right.
I keep stressing it.
Right.
Once again, we indicated it could be less in some cases because some sort of indirect value in kind services could be proposed. That's true, but it could be also higher.
So I understand from all that you mentioned here. So if we look at it, if 1.1 million goes to FIDE, 2.5 goes to players, then the remaining amount, as you said, could differ from country to country. How is that money? Is that something that the bidder or the person who is organizing has to pay to FIDE, or can they have the freedom to sort of decide on the actual basis of what is going to be spent, keeping into consideration the level that it has to be done, or how is that used?
Very good question. Here we are very flexible because if the organizer, as a part of the bid, would commit on the venue, which they are, instead of hiring, instead of renting it, instead of bringing people who they have to pay for, but they secure it otherwise, being as a part of the indirect contributions. That obviously does not need to go and to be paid to FIDE. Basically, what's paid to FIDE is the costs which will be direct and we will need to pay for them. Let's say sending our stuff Once again, you don't need to pay for our hotels. If you say that we booked 2,000 hotels or we have 2,000 hotel rooms, that's fine. It's just would be described that FIDE gets out of this, I don't know, 1,200 rooms to the players and to the members of staff, for example. That's fair enough. It's not like, once again, FIDE is not, I want to stress it very clearly. FIDE is not looking to monetize on the sparing on the money which we'll be receiving to spare it, to take part of it and to spend less on actual. No, we don't need that, and these are small monies. We're talking. These are not something what will be even interested in it. We just need to understand that we either receive the money towards these expenses or we are receiving these services. That's fine for us. Both are fine. You can, but it is a binding conditions. You cannot say that we will secure the stadium of Jawaharlal Nehru from November 15 to December 15, and they say, so sorry, it doesn't work. We have to look for other solution. This is binding because this has to be a part of a bid. Because we have to know that it would not be okay. What to do now? We need to have
This is the tricky
Hyatt
part.
Hotel, which is
Yes,
very nice.
this is the tricky
Sorry?
part of it,
Yes.
because if someone says yes, we have this place, we have these hotel rooms, we have everything in place, to know for sure that it's there is something that FIDE has to vet basically beforehand.
Well, we believe that people that would be submitting bids with, once again, with its companies, governments, or entrepreneurs, they are serious people because they anyways would need to pay some solid amount upfront. So it's not like it all can come only as a part of a promise. We announce and then in 2 months something happens and doesn't work. That would not be the case. Of course, there will be a certain flexibility, and in some cases you could say, okay, this we confirm, but this one we need 1 more month to work with hotels or with travel agency or with air company who could become a sponsor for the event. Singapore Airlines, I don't know, we would issue 300 tickets. So that's our expectation, or our Aerolíneas Argentinas. And then we would not need to pay 500,000. So please wait for that. And if not, we will pay you this amount. That's, of course, we are reasonable and flexible. But I'm just telling that the magnitude should be understood. It's not an event. First of all, it's an event different from all other events in the chess world. And B, it is an event which requires a lot of preparation and a lot of there is a huge upside for any organizer, I believe. Any, be it once again in any part of the world. But also the responsibility and the obligations are concrete and binding. And that's why we open bidding procedure, and not just trying some sort of behind the door agreement and to proclaim. Yeah.
This bid has to go from a national federation, or
It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. In some cases, it can be institution. Let's say Olympiad. We had a letter from the Hungarian government itself, which was simply very reassuring because, let's say, National Chess Federation, of course, it was a part of it, and National Chess Federation of Hungary did a massive work, but they cannot guarantee you 15 million euro. And National Chess Federation of India or any country cannot guarantee you such an amount. So it is either a governmental guarantee or it is a bank guarantee, which is done. Once again, I strongly believe that for any company which has their business somehow connected to this part of the world in particular, because you have Indian and Chinese participants, let's not forget, it would be important and smart investment to go with the match. It could be once again as a title sponsorship, as a main organizer. It could be as one of the sponsors, but I believe that the value which this match has is way above the price which we are. It's not we asking, the price which is requested, which is required to host the event.
There have been claims that few people have already bid for this. Can you speak anything about it? Have there been bids that have come in, or are you still waiting for it?
No formal bids has arrived. As I told you, we are speaking with various countries. Of course, India approached us at the same hour when Gukesh won. As I told you, the organizers, the potential organizers in Argentina approached us even before the tournament was held. We are talking with Singapore as well, and I named it for nothing. In US, we have several interested parties, but once again, nothing concrete came just of yet. It can happen that during this month we will have new bidders. I do not exclude this possibility, and it's great. I think it would be great that if the bidders would be numerous. But what is important that this whole event gets to raise chess to a new level, because I think it's very nice. Not only because you have two superpowers, India and China. I don't know if you saw the Bloomberg reporting yesterday comparing this match to economic competition between China and India. Also comparing the age, because Ding is 32, Gukesh is 17. So China by now is established top player. India is just very much close already to the top economies. And of course, having in mind rivalry, both in a regional but also impacting the world economies. But for the entire world is a big thing. I think if we also manage to plan it smartly, to promote it smartly, to work with leading media, be it newspapers as well, it can resonate pretty much. Of course, there are people who would be, let's say, benefactors of it no matter what, because they would be promoting the content from the match, telling about what's going on, and it's nice. I'm happy that many of content creators would have this content provided by us. But at the same time, we are aiming to get outside of the chess world, not just inside the. Of course, we have a nice chess community. Of course, we have, I don't know, 10 million people who are hooked on any chess content which appears, right? But we still know that the World Championship match typically would make people who do not follow chess otherwise to follow the match.
Right.
That what happened on previous occasions. I remember when Vishy played with Magnus, and it was broadcast on Indian TV.
Yes, Doordarshan.
It also got people who never were very much into chess started following. In Norway, it happens all the same. NRK, in a way, gambled on purchasing the rights, and it turned out to be a huge success story, and they are very much benefactors of this chess hype or chess boom already that happened. So all in all, that explains, but that also explains why we would insist on having it as a top-notch organized event.
And lastly, I want to ask you, with Gukesh making it to the World Championship as the challenger, does that make this match very exciting for potential bidders, not just India, but because he's just 17 years old, the potential of becoming the youngest ever world champion exists there?
I think it's a great thing. Yes, also let's say commercially, if you look at it at the commercial angle, because you can have a youngest world champion, you can have a person from India, because India has more chess followers than anybody else today in the chess world. But said that, if it were Nakamura, I don't think it would be much worth, because you would have a famous streamer who is very popular and who has his fan base of few million people and so on. In case of Nepo or Caruana, maybe a bit less. But once again, I think World Championship match event per se is anyways huge. But yes, some factors of who is playing is obviously playing a part. And for us, what is important is that no matter where we're going to stage it, it should be an absolutely top event which reflects the status of the match. Let's respect our game. We are 1886. We started the first match. We're running it uninterruptedly for so many years. We're having only 17 world champions throughout these 136 years of history. We have so many iconic matches people still speak about, right? I mean, from the days of Lasker Alekhine and to maybe Kasparov Karpov or Karpov Kochnoy and Fischer Spassky and so on. So I think it's a time for another iconic match. And I think if any question related to how the money is spent, the best answer would be the quality of the event, which at the end of the day we will deliver. And we will be working very closely with LOC, whatever LOC will be there, because local organizing committee has a great impact on how the event staged. Because even with several inspections, and we will be coming over, let's say in June, we would know where the match is. Already in June, the first inspection of ours will go to the country to see the venue, to plan, to sit down, and so on. You have to engage so many local forces, starting from, as I told you, like security, medical, and so on, to actually people who will build up the event or who will be in charge of volunteers. And also these things. You have to start a promotional campaign. Promotional campaign goes also in two directions. One is internal, one is external. So all that has to be built smartly, and we already amassed quite a bit of experience, and I hope that we will run it smoothly, and it would be a top-notch match watched all over the world.
Well, Emil, thank you so much for your time and also for agreeing to do this thing and clearing many of the questions that are there. It was interesting. I'm sure that after this is posted, there would be more questions that would come up in the comments, and if there are any interesting ones, then maybe that can be addressed later. But for now, this time which you have devoted for this is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Sagar, and looking forward to meet you on our events.
Thank you.